Hey, it's Jaxler, and welcome back to my testing world. Today I'm going to show you guys a proof of concept for a new command block array that I've created that recreates the effects of an ice flower from Super Mario Galaxy and some of the newer Super Mario games. Now, I've sort of recreated a version of one of the ice levels from Super Mario Galaxy 1. It doesn't look quite the same, but it kind of does bear similarities. So that's kind of what I was going for with this. But anyway, the main part of this video that you guys all wanted to see here is this ice flower. So right here is my little block. The actual ice flower that you collect isn't actually blue because I was having trouble getting this item ID to work out correctly, so I used the yellow flower just so it was easier. So what you do is you stand on the pressure plate and it gives you an ice flower, and then it starts giving you these snowballs. Now, for those of you who have played Super Mario Galaxy and some of the other Mario games, this gives you two abilities. A, you can walk on ice, you can walk on water, all the water underneath you freezes into solid ice. And after a short amount of time, it runs out and the ice melts away underneath your feet. Oh yeah, I also have a triple jump mechanic. Look forward to that in a future video. I took one of Seth Blink's old designs and recreated it using some of the new stat dot commands. So anyway, as you can see, it runs out after a short amount of time. So if I step on it again, I can get my ice flower back. And the reason I call this a proof of concept is it's very buggy, as when you try to just like run really fast, you just fall right off and the ice doesn't have time to spawn underneath you. But jumping, it kind of works a little bit better with sprinting. Not the most perfect thing in the world, but it does work sometimes. So yeah, that's one of the main mechanics, and I kind of want to go over here because I want to show you this cool thing I made. Now, on that level I mentioned from Super Mario Galaxy 1, there are these water geysers that rise up, and so you can do that same sort of thing with triple jump to get back up there, and I might have to go get myself a flower. Oh, dang it, I missed. Boing. Yeah, I also have Jump Boost 2 on, if you can't tell. That's something I was working on with the triple jump. It just made things so much easier. So yeah, as you can see, the triple jump works and it gets you to the top of this platform. Now, normally I had a little gold thing up here, but it seems that MC Edit decided to delete it, which sucks, but, you know, c'est la vie. Now, the other part of the ice flower that is included with this mechanic is the ability to freeze enemies. Now, if you noticed, probably you've seen me gaining these snowballs right here. So what these do is they act as sort of like the little ice balls that you send out. So if I throw it at this villager right here, it'll freeze him in a block of ice like that. And after a little bit, the blocks of ice will melt and it'll be back to normal. Eventually, after doing this enough times, you can actually get him to die due to all... Where on earth did you come from, buddy? What are you doing up here? Wait, does anybody see that? There are like these snowballs streaking down the sky. What the heck is going on? That might have to be a rendering issue. But, okay, he got free, and that's because it re-deletes all of the ice blocks. So, he got free because he got the cobweb deleted. So, that's enough of that. But the awesome thing is that the ice blocks are there long enough for you to be able to jump on them. And I think that was one of the other things that you were able to do in some of these Mario games as well. So I'm going to freeze this guy. And then I'll be able to jump on him. If I can even think. Come on. There you go. And you'll be able to jump off this ice block. Get to the goal and you're supposed to get it. Yeah, here we go. And then you get your power star. So yeah, that's about all that I've got with this mechanic. As I mentioned before, this is very, very buggy. Like, for example, the villager that's in here died and didn't delete the ice blocks. As I mentioned, this is a proof of concept video. It is not meant to be a full-fledged build, but rather just an idea that other map makers and redstone engineers can improve upon. And that's what I hope comes about this project. So let me go into creative mode and I'll show you how this whole contraption works. Okay, so here we are at the main command block array. It looks like a lot, but most of it is just, all these repeaters are just a time delay because I was too lazy to make a hopper clock. Okay, so basically what we have going on is we have multiple command blocks running on a 0.5 tick clock, or your basic command block clock, and they're testing to see if you have a yellow flower or the dandelion in your inventory. And as I mentioned, I was having issues working with trying to get the blue flower to be in your inventory, so that's why I used the yellow flower. But anyway, once you have the yellow flower in your inventory, it'll clear your inventory of any snowballs or anything you might have, and it'll give you this flower score, which is basically a flag I use to control when you are able to use all your abilities. So when you have a score of 1 for the flower score, you are able to set I use an execute command for every guy who has, oh, that's not the right command block, where is it? Oh, there's so many here, I keep getting lost. Here it is. No, where is it? Where is it? Well, okay, I don't need to find it, but basically what's going on is whenever someone has this flower score, it runs the execute detect command to see if there is water source blocks underneath the player, and if there are, it will spawn regular ice underneath. And the reason I use regular ice instead of the packed ice is so that it can melt. And if you put a bunch of ice in here, after a while, these sea lanterns will melt it. And that's why there were sea lanterns all along the bottom of that artificial lake I created, to sort of come up with the freezing effect, thawing out of water effect, which is also another really big flaw with this build. And I'd love to see someone watching this video come up with a way to fix that. I'll probably leave like a schematic file, either a schematic file or a world download in the description for you guys to look at. I'll probably paste this into another world so you can't see all my future projects. So now while that's going on, whenever you have this flower flag as well, it activates a clock right here that will continuously give you snowballs, and then it'll clear it so that you don't manage to pile up a giant stockpile of snowballs, because you don't really want the player to be able to have snowballs after the timer has run out. So basically while that's happening, so once you get your flower score, it activates the T flip-flop, which sets off the clock. So that's kind of what's going on there. Now the snowball is a little confusing. So basically whenever you throw a snowball, it creates a snowball entity that gets sent in a certain direction with a certain velocity. So whenever you throw a snowball and it comes within a certain radius of a villager, and another flaw with this build is that it only works for villagers, but a way you could work around it is just name every single mob you want to be able to be frozen. And then every mob that comes near the snowball will get frozen. That way you can also control which mobs get frozen and which ones don't. So that's just another side note. So if I were to place a villager here and throw the snowball like to the side-ish, if it's within a 3-block radius, it will test to see if there is a villager nearby, and then it'll give it the ice flag. And oh, so that's the command. Okay. Geez, I'm sorry. I'm getting lost between all my commands. So, as you can see right here, this is the ice flag I'm talking about. And so, whenever a mob has an ice flag, they will be given a slowness effect so that they cannot move. And the reason why we do that is because, especially with villagers, they can walk out of the ice block and then they can just start setting these ice pillars everywhere. And that just looks freaking messy. So that's kind of one of the mitigation techniques I use. And then the other thing it does is we have 2 separate commands that are over here. And so it'll give it the ice flag, and then once it has the ice flag, it'll set the packed ice on the block relative to that villager and a block above that villager, so the entire villager model gets trapped in the packed ice and begins to suffocate, and that's how the villagers take damage. And then after a long delay, the blocks are removed, and then they reset the ice flag score of that villager, so that way the packed ice stops getting spawned at their feet and head and stuff like that. And basically the point of this delay right here is basically counting down for how long the flower is active. So once this whole thing runs its course, it resets your flower score, so you don't get any of the flower score benefits, and then it reactivates the T flip-flop, so it stops giving you those magical snowballs of death. So yeah, I hope that kind of makes sense. That's kind of this whole build in action right here. I'll just kind of show you guys this for one more time. It's really cool looking to see all the ice freeze underneath you. I just think that's really awesome. And you can see it just melted. So it takes a really long time if you put like, oh, I just got stuck. It takes, yeah, see, it keeps melting. That's a pretty good sign. And you can see the T flip-flop goes off as soon as the timer runs out. You could hear the pistons moving over here. So it's got a lot of flaws, and the thing I want to ask you guys who are watching is that you can maybe take a look at this build after I paste it into a world download and maybe experiment with it to see if you can maybe use armor stands or invisible mobs to make the ice despawn after a while without the use of these gimmicky lights, and just make some of the stuff more user-friendly, like when you're sprinting across, it doesn't like just send you deep into the water. I've tried to use slowness effects, but that just doesn't really work. Even like in general, it just doesn't work, especially with the advent of sprint jumping. So that's about all I have to show you guys today. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate all the support I've gotten of late. It may not seem like a lot, but 20 views on like my last video really meant a lot to me, even though it was a lot of you guys from like Fantasia server and stuff like that. But I just really appreciate the support I've gotten lately. So thank you all for that. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time on my new Fantasia vid. See you guys soon.